Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie.
What's with the long face?
Haven't you heard? The tripod was stolen.
No kidding.
I just don't get it. So many other treasures, and the thieves choose the tripod.
A modern-day alchemist, perhaps?
Who knows? There's no shortage of crazies in Paris. Hey, I visited Nicole's apartment.
Yeah, she told me you came by.
Ooh, quite a fine Georgie boy. I didn't expect anything quite so sexy.
I hope you're referring to the manuscript.
Oui, of course. Where have you been? Nicole said you were away.
I just returned from Syria.
Syria? On the trail of the Templars?
It's a long story, but I found the bull's head. It was referred to on the manuscript, remember?
Yes, what is it?
A secret cave built into a high cliff face. In the cave, I discovered a map bearing a phrase in Latin. In occidenta sita est in ora mundi.
The island of Britain.
Lies at the edge of the world to the west.
Strange. That map seems to contain a series of pointers.
Like I said, it's a treasure map. What did you make of the manuscript?
It dates from the time of the Crusades.
We guessed that from the Templar seal.
It's a story and pictures like a modern-day comic book.
What story does the manuscript tell?
I don't know. It was probably produced for the tourist market.
Tourists?
Oh, oui, pilgrims in their thousands on their way to Jerusalem. The tourist trade is nothing new, you know. It's been around for centuries. Ever since Joshua made a packet selling souvenir bricks from the walls of Jericho.
Have you deciphered any of the images on the manuscript?
There's very little I can be sure about. The slang of the bull could be a reference to Mithras.
Who's he?
A Persian god, almost as popular as Christ at one time. The only thing I can be sure of is the knight. He's Spanish.
How can you tell that?
The writing on the shield, the reference to Ave Maria. No self-respecting knight from Northern Europe would have borne a coat of arms like that.
Can you identify the knight's coat of arms?
I already did, Georgie. He's a member of the De Vasconcelos family from the Costa Calida.
Were they famous?
No, they're not mentioned after the 15th century.
Oh.
The spotlight of history moved on. They're probably long dead.
Do you think the manuscript could be the map to the Templar treasure?
Frankly, no. That's too far-fetched. The manuscript is interesting enough and a rare find, but that's all.
Wouldn't it be terrific if it was a map, though? The treasure of the Knights Templar.
A romantic notion, Georgie, but extremely improbable.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
The case was empty. The glass case was intact, but the tripod had been replaced by a sign reading, "Exhibit temporarily removed." I'm no student of architecture, but the little building looked old. I wondered if it was some sort of summer house. Down below the estate, I could see the sea stretching away. It was a beautiful sight, and looked a lot like the scene from the manuscript. I wanted to go swimming, but I didn't have the time. From a distance, I thought it might be a summer house. Close up, I wasn't so sure. Over the doorway was a statue of a hooded figure bearing a cross. It looked kind of sinister. There was a statue of a guy on top of the building. He looked like a knight with a spear and some sort of staff. The door was a handsome piece of work, in keeping with the ornateness of the rest of the building. Rats! It's locked. I didn't want to mess with the building. There was a crotchety old guy watering the lawn. If this garden was all his own work, he was more capable than he looked. Hi, is this the De Vasconcelos house?
Who wants to know?
I could tell the old coot was going to be trouble. My name's George Stobart. I was wondering whether...
The house is not open to the public.
This is the De Vasconcelos house.
And what business is that of yours, senor?
Look, all I want is to speak to the head of the household.
There is no household. Only the Countess and myself.
What do you know about the Templars?
Who wants to know?
Are you angling for a bribe or something?
You have nothing that I want, senor, except the pleasure of your absence.
The guy was obviously protecting the Countess against the whole world. But why? Tell me about the Countess de Vasconcelos.
She doesn't receive guests. That's all you need to know.
You don't even know what I have to talk to her about.
She hasn't won the lottery, has she?
Yeah, that's it. The Countess has won the lottery, and I'm here to give her the check.
Marvelous. May I see it?
No. No, I have to deliver it to her in person.
The Countess doesn't do the lottery.
Oh, for crying out loud, why'd you lead me on then?
To amuse myself. To make you look a fool. To make you go away.
I don't suppose this red nose means anything to you, does it?
Ha! El Flojo!
El who?
El Flojo! He is a clown on state television.
Oh, is he any good?
He is as funny as scabies. Without the laughs.
Do you recognize this man?
No,
This lab pass mean anything to you?
nothing.
Do you know what this is?
See, I have a similar tool for opening culverts on the estate.
Have you got any use for a fistful of plaster?
No.
What do you make of this?
So that's it. You're a salesman.
If I was hawking medical supplies, I can think of better places to hawk them. Would you like to shake hands?
I do not think so, senor.
Look at this tissue.
It's a tissue with some greasy muck on it.
Yes, that's right. Have you ever seen a lens like this before?
No, senor. Never.
Okay. Well, I'll see you around.
Adios.
It was then I realized I'd left home without my pocket siege engine. The main part of the house was old, but nowhere near as old as the gatehouse section.
Hey, you.
Yeah, what is it?
You would not like it if people just wandered into your home, would you?
Well, no, I guess not.
Then show a little consideration.
Okay. Sorry. The hose ran from some sort of utility room all the way to the lawn. I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone.
My hose has stopped.
Yeah?
See, my hose never stopped.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it. It's always sad when an old tradition comes to an end.
Did you have anything to do with it? See, you.
Well, I'm shocked. I'm mortified. How could you think such a thing?
Very easily, senor. Very easily. I'm going to find out why my hose has stopped. And that means going into the house. You are not, absolutely not, to go in the house. If you do go in the house, I will set the dogs on you.
Must have been traveling pretty fast when he hit the wall. I didn't want an example of the taxidermist's art. A big chandelier, studded with plain white candles. Probably pretty impressive when all lit up. And it must keep the moth population down. I couldn't go up there. I love suits of armor. Who doesn't? I could see the gardener trying to figure out what was wrong with the hose. Time for cat-footed stealthiness. There was a big aspidistra sitting on a table in the hall. I didn't want a pot plant. I hid behind the armor and waited for developments.
Hey, you. I know you are there, American. All right, you dogs. I'm coming.
It was just a little utility room with no exit, unless you counted the window, and I didn't.
Madre Dios, who are you?
My name's George Stobart. I'm sorry to burst in like this.
You must leave at once. You're not wanted here.
Please, if you'd just listen a minute.
Very well. State your business, Senor Stobart.
There's been a series of murders, part of some conspiracy. Anyway, the trail led me here.
Here? There is nothing for the outside world here.
Over 600 years ago there was.
What do you mean?
This whole thing ties in somehow with the Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar are dust.
They had a secret that was so important, they went to a lot of trouble to hide it.
I do not see what this has to do with my family.
Your family had a strong connection with the Templars, right? I believe that they've planted some clues here.
Why should I believe a complete stranger who barges into my home?
Just let me have a look around. If I find nothing...
You'll be spending the night at the police station. Very well. Please, sit down.
Thank you. Does this red nose mean anything to you?
Oh, dear. El Flojo.
That would be the TV clown, yeah?
Clown in all important aspects, apart from the one about being funny.
Do you recognize this man?
No, I have never seen him before in my life. Who is he?
I've got a couple of names for him, but they're probably false. He's the killer.
No, his face is utterly unfamiliar.
Good. At least he hasn't been here. Yet. Does this lab pass mean anything to you?
Nothing at all.
Do you know what this is?
No, it looks very practical, though.
Do you know what this is?
Desiccated gypsum.
No, it's plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris is desiccated gypsum, isn't it? I could tell that I wasn't impressing her. Would you like to shake hands?
A formal bow will suffice.
Does this tissue mean anything to you?
Where is this line of questioning going?
Nowhere helpful. Maybe not. I know your family is involved with the Templars, but I don't know how.
You should be asking how my family were involved, Senor Stobart. The Templars ceased to exist centuries ago, and as for the de Vasconcelos, the line dies with me.
I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Okay, whatever happened almost 700 years ago. So, if the Templars left any clues, they're going to be in stuff that dates back to the early 14th century.
Obviously.
So, what do you have around here that's early medieval?
Early medieval. Let me think. Well, the house is relatively modern, a scant 3 centuries old. Or, of course, the chess set.
That chess set is over 600 years old? It must be worth a fortune.
Indeed it is. Not that I would part with it, of course.
No, I wouldn't either. That's the sort of thing that gets handed down to your children. Sorry.
Its value is less than you might think. The set is not complete. One of the pieces is a modern replacement. As to the original, it was lost a long time ago.
Nobody has any idea where it is?
No. The children had it when they were taken.
Children? What children?
All in good time, Senor Stobart.
May I examine the chess set?
Certainly. But do not move any of the pieces.
Okay, thanks. Close up, the modern piece stood out like a sore thumb. There was something else odd about the set. All of the original pieces had irregular bases.
My lady, I have to warn you, there's a... You! Why, I'll feed you to the dogs.
Lopez, what have I told you about feeding intruders to the dogs?
But, my lady...
Never without my permission. Senor Stobart, if I find that you're wasting my time, you will be fed to the dogs. Now, I want to show you something interesting. Follow me. Lopez, unlock the door, por favor. This is the only remaining structure on the estate contemporary with the Templars.
Nice. What is it, a summer house?
A mausoleum, Senor Stobart.
Oh.
Come with me.
Hey, senor.
Yeah?
I do not know what you have told my lady to be shown these favors, but I do not trust you.
You've got nothing to worry about. Aren't you coming in?
No, the dead do not interest me. My garden is a living thing. I will be there.
Wow, this is old.
It was constructed in the 13th century as the final resting place for the de Vasconcelos Templars.
It's well maintained.
These are my ancestors, and they deserve respect. I come here at least once a week to say a prayer for them.
Mind if I have a look around?
By all means.
Hanging from the ceiling was a huge yellowed candle. It looked really old and had never been lit. I couldn't reach up there. The mausoleum contained 5 tombs for 5 of the Knights Templar, man-size in marble. I wasn't about to start heaving at sarcophagus lids with the Countess standing there. It was a rod with a cone and a hook on the end. I guessed it was for snuffing out the big candle in the chandelier. Now what? There was nothing to snuff. Feeling like an idiot, I put it down again. High up in the dome were windows. I guessed they might open them to make it less stuffy in there. I couldn't climb up there without breaking something. In front of the shrine was a lectern with a Bible on it. A big statuette of the Virgin Mary kept an eye on the place. It was too delicate to move. On removing the Bible, I found a pattern on the lectern top. Hey! It's a checkerboard! Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. Some of the squares had little jagged holes in the middle. May I ask you something?
You may ask.
What's the story with the glass chessboard?
Glass chessboard. Oh, the pattern on the lectern, purely decorative, I'm sure.
There are pieces of glass missing from it.
Oh, it has been like that since I was a girl.
The gaps in the glass chessboard look awfully deliberate.
No, it is ridiculous. What possible significance can it have?
It's part of a chessboard, and the gaps are for...
Senor Stobart, you cannot mean...
This place was built for the Templars. Your chess set is as old as the Templars. It's kind of suggestive, isn't it? Is the Virgin Mary really the right person to be sharing a mausoleum with 5 knights?
You are showing your ignorance, Senor Stobart. The Templars were dedicated to the Virgin Mary.
That's a big candle. Where would you buy a thing like that from?
You could not. It is an antique, unique to my knowledge.
Just how old is it?
It dates from the Middle Ages, when the Moors controlled Spain. The candle was to be lit as a signal to the estate workers if the Moors attacked.
Who exactly are these people?
My ancestors. These 5 men were all members of the Templars.
5 ancestors in the order. You must be very proud.
Not 5, 6.
Where's the 6th knight?
He was lost to us.
You lost an ancestor?
It is a family matter. It can have no relevance.
Well, it's connected with the curse of the de Vasconcelos, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I hope you will honor my desire not to talk about it.
Okay, well, I'll leave it for now. I think this must be it. This is what the manuscript is pointing to.
This is extraordinary. Am I to understand that the Templars left a puzzle here? And in all of this time we failed to realize that there was a puzzle?
It was wonderful to watch the Countess change before my eyes.
Right. Well, no time for wallowing in self-pity, eh, Senor Stobart? This mystery has had a good long run, but it ends here and now.
All those years of fatalism were falling away from her.
Lopez! Lopez! Put that hose down and listen! Go to the house and get my chess set. Yes, the old chess set! Oh, damn the game! Now hurry! My, this is exciting, is it not?
Don't get too excited. This could be a blind alley.
Oh, I do not believe that for a moment.
It's good to see you happy.
Happy? You know, I think I am.
You certainly know your history.
What's your opinion of the Templars, Senor Stobart?
The Templars? Well, they seem no worse than a lot of the nightly orders.
You are mistaken. Compared to the simpering politicians of the Hospitallers or the brutish Teutonics, the Knights Templar were the embodiment of chivalry. The filthy, money-grabbing French king and his pet pope did a great wrong. A bane settled upon my family at the whim of that self-seeking tyrant.
It was all a long time ago.
Some things don't die. Injustice is one of them.
While we're waiting, I'd really like to know what happened here. I mean, the curse and everything?
It all began at the time of the dissolution of the Templars. Don Carlos had already left their ranks to become a scholar.
Don Carlos, is he the guy who went missing?
Si, but he had reckoned without the local bishop. The bishop envied us our lands and determined to use the papal edict as an excuse to destroy us. Don Carlos was on one of his scholarly journeys when the Inquisition arrived. When Don Carlos returned, it was to find his loyal manservant slain and his children gone.
They took the kids? But why?
Oh, we will never know. The bishop denied all knowledge of the children's disappearance. But witnesses had seen his men kill the servant who had been charged to protect them.
What happened to Don Carlos?
He swore he'd find his children if he had to go to the edge of the world. He put on his armor and took up his sword and shield and rode out alone. He was never seen again. Lopez, you have the pieces.
Si, my lady, as you asked.
Por favor, Senor Stobart, would you be so kind?
My lady.
Calm yourself, Lopez. I believe Senor Stobart's motives are pure.
Very well, my lady. My lady seems to trust you.
But you don't.
No, senor.
It fits, Senor Stobart. It fits.
Working quickly, I found which pieces went into which holes.
Senor Stobart, look!
What is that? It's not the Holy Grail, is it?
No, Senor Stobart. It is the communion chalice of the De Vasconcelos, missing for almost 700 years.
Wow! Well, go on.
I cannot. I can hardly believe it is real.
Go ahead. Live a little.
Are you sure? This is your moment of triumph, Senor Stobart.
Sure, I'm sure. The possibility of death traps only occurred to me a few days later.
So the curse of the De Vasconcelos is lifted?
Oh no. The Countess was thrilled to find the lost chalice. But there's still the riddle of the missing knight.
Well, you can forget about that now and get back to finding the Templar's secret.
Actually, I promised the Countess I'd find Don Carlos.
You what?
I can explain everything.
You have got the odds for a withered old Spanish aristocrat?
The Countess entrusted me with the chalice and the quest for her ancestor's tomb.
You're as crazy as she is. Haven't you got enough problems? Khan and the Templars?
It's all part of the same thing. The chalice is important, I'm sure. The manuscript pointed us to the knight, and I have to find him.
What then?
I don't know. But when the knight and the chalice are reunited, maybe I will. Have you any idea what this lens might be used for?
As a magnifying glass, obviously.
This is the chalice I discovered in Spain.
I still can't figure out why the Countess gave it to you. After losing it for all those years, she simply gave it away to a total stranger? She's one prawn short of a paella.
The Countess is a fine lady. You shouldn't compare her with seafood.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something going on between you and that Countess.
Are you serious? She's old enough to be my grandmother. The guy at the museum identified the knight's crest.
That's great news. I knew Lobino would be likely to help. Tell me more.
It belongs to a Spanish family.
With Templar connections, no doubt.
That's one of the questions I want to ask them. If the family still exists. Just how long have you known Lobino?
Andre? We met at college. He helped me out when I was a fresh air. Showed me around, that sort of thing.
You never told me that before. I thought he was just a working acquaintance.
So he is. I rarely see him these days. You know, he hasn't changed much. A little lesser at the front, perhaps. I'd forgotten how much fun he could be.
Is there something going on between you and Lobino?
What business is it of yours? We agreed all this. The clown, the Templars, strictly business, remember?
Yeah, but
So get off my case.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
Okay.
At the top of the stairs was a medieval church. A row of old pews, beautifully carved and glowing with polish. I thought of all the people who must have sat here over the decades. All those Parisian derrieres, firm buttocks of the young ladies, the flabby flesh of the old men. That wasn't a pleasing image, so I went back to the young ladies. Whoa! A knight's tomb, his effigy in marble lying in perpetual state, waiting in prayer for the judgment day. I didn't have time to sit around. A knight there in the company of his fellows. Biblical references engraved into the tomb edge to guide his way to the next world, I guess. A stone knight lay on the church floor. Just think, there's a dead guy under there. The second stone knight in a row of 4 lay on the church floor. I was surprised Philip le Bel had left this place alone. A huge arched window. Somehow it looked more modern than its neighbor. A huge stained glass window formed a magnificent centerpiece for its neighbors. I didn't recognize the biblical story in it. I was a Sunday school dropout. A stone knight lay in full stone armor, blank eyes looking at the ceiling. Carrying all that armor around must have been hard work. A stone knight lay at the end of a row of 4. I wondered if this guy had died in combat. A statue of a knight holding a staff and a scroll. The statue had any secrets. It was concealing them pretty well. A priest stood by the pews, energetically polishing something. Excuse me, Father.
Pardon?
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Not at all, monsieur. It will be my pleasure to help you.
I noticed that the stained glass window on the left looks more modern than the middle one.
You have a keen eye, monsieur. The original window was destroyed in the last war. It was as old as the church, early 14th century.
Oh, man, that's awful.
Oui, a terrible loss. Still, the church and the other windows survived.
You must be proud to have such an incredible collection of stained glass.
Pride is a sin, monsieur, but it is hard not to marvel when the light shines through them. It is a fine example of the artisan's genius.
What do you know about the Knights Templar?
You have come to the right place, if that is your interest. Many of them were executed in the square outside. It was a disgrace to France.
Well, the Pope was right behind it, though.
Clement V was a man of mammon, not of God.
That's kind of forthright for a priest, isn't it?
You think so? It is hard to be sure what happened. It is so long ago.
How long have you worked here?
Hardly work, monsieur. This is a calling. I have been helping Father Flambert for nearly 6 months now.
I guess you don't know much about the history of this church, then.
Just a little.
You've got quite a shine on that candlestick.
Ah, oui. Anything less than best would be an insult to the Almighty.
I guess so. I never thought of it like that. I've got a red nose.
Oui, so you have.
Have you seen this man before?
No, I have never seen him before.
Have you ever heard of this guy?
No, monsieur. I'm afraid not. Is he a friend?
Not really. More of an acquaintance. I have here a sewer key.
Ah, oui?
I don't know why I'm showing you this.
Neither do I.
I was in Ireland recently and I brought back this plaster.
My sister brought back a shillelagh.
I thought about using the shake and shock on him, but I couldn't do that to a priest. There's grease paint on this tissue.
Oui, you are correct.
Have you ever seen anything like this lens?
No, never. The glass seems subtly colored in some way.
Yeah, I've never noticed that before. What do you make of this chalice?
It certainly looks very old.
About as old as this church, I think.
There seems to be an engraving on it.
Yeah? What does it say?
I do not know. It is very tarnished. With your permission, I could try polishing it. I promise I will be very careful.
That'd be very good of you.
This shouldn't take very long. Feel free to look around.
Okay, thanks. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. Per disciplinum meum lux videbis. A bit of a stained glass window. Wow! Hoping for a big insight while squinting through a hunk of statuary had been pretty optimistic, I guess. The lens fitted into the end of the scroll like a hand into a glove. Hey! A Knight Templar burning at the stake, and a date. Let me see. MCCCXIV. That's 1314. Hello again, Father. Hey, thanks.
It is my pleasure, monsieur.
What was the writing on the chalice?
It was not writing, my mistake. It was a coat of arms. The remarkable thing is that it seems very familiar.
Yeah?
Oui, I think I have seen it on that wall tomb in the far corner. That winged horse is quite distinctive.
Did you know that the center window conceals an image of a man burning at the stake?
The burning man?
What, you knew?
That there was a hidden image? No. But the church has a reputation for being haunted. Many times people have claimed to have seen a burning man in the window. But when others they look, there is nothing. Perhaps the light has to be just so for the figure to appear.
Yeah, or maybe you need a special lens. Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Now that my attention had been drawn to it, there was no mistake. There was no name on it. But the coat of arms was undeniably the Pegasus of the de Vasconcelos family. I'd found the last resting place of Don Carlos. My eye was drawn to the biblical references carved into the edge of the tomb. Hey, maybe these biblical references mean something. Psalms 32:7, John 4:11, Corinthians 1:4-5, and just one more, Psalms 22:21. I may not be perfect, but I've got a memory like a steel trap. The chalice had led me to these inscriptions, but it looked like a happy coincidence to me. After all, the de Vasconcelos arms were already on the manuscript. Nope, I was still convinced that the chalice had some significance all of its own. Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie.
What do you make of this cup, Andre?
It's a 14th century communion vessel. Spanish, probably.
You sure know your onions. You didn't say you knew Nico at college.
Didn't I? Ah, oui. She was an odd little thing back then. Quite an endearing wife, I suppose, but she always looked so miserable.
Well, that's hardly surprising. She was mourning her dad.
I know. She wore nothing but black for 7 years. She was more Goth than Alaric the Visigoth.
While I was in Syria, I discovered a strange pagan statue. It was like a head with 3 bearded faces. Horrible.
That sounds as if it could be Baphomet, the idol described by the Templars.
The poor Knights of Christ had an idol that looked like that?
Allegedly. The description of the idol came from the evidence extracted by the Inquisition. Mind you, not one statue or idol was ever found on Templar property. Until now, that is. Just last month, a statue of Baphomet was unearthed right here in Paris.
Where?
At the Institut Hermétique de Nerval. The statue is beneath the foundations. It was discovered by some workmen while renovating the building.
Can you tell me any more about the statue of Baphomet?
It's a fearful image, even now, a bearded head. The base of the statue is carved with Templar symbols. One of the workmen noticed a curious stain at the base. He claimed it looked like blood.
Blood?
That's right.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
Pardon me.
Oui, monsieur? Oh, it's you. Well, what do you want now? You're not going to try to hide in that closet again, are you?
I hear your tripod was stolen.
Nothing travels faster than bad news. It is true. It happened last night. I always said that alarm was no good.
Does this old cut mean anything to you?
Nothing, monsieur.
Thanks for your help.